Are we live? Can you hear us? That's the big thing. We've had so many problems in the past. Oh my gosh, my head looks big. This is no good. I can see us live.
I know,
I'm gonna be
which is kind of good, so we know we're on there.
Okay, all right. Let me just put my head up a little bit. Anywho,
So
can you
hopefully-
hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hello.
We're gonna assume you can hear us, so.
And yeah,
And
we'll get
onward we
started.
move. We have this little microphone that is supposed to. I can hear you. Oh,
Oh,
my goodness, she
cute.
spelled UEWE. Oh, love it.
So you
Love
can
it,
hear
love it,
us
love it.
really good, or should I hold it like this? Well, that helped.
Should she clip
The-
it on herself and then I could
the-
like lean over?
The last live we did, nobody could hear us, so we're a
And
little
it was an issue.
concerned. So let me know
Yeah.
if while we're jabbering along, you can't hear.
Yeah. Really good. Excellent.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
Good.
Thank you so much for the feedback. Love it. Love it. Love it.
We've
love
never
it.
done a YouTube live before.
No, now your finger's on it. You
I see
realize
that. Well,
Yeah.
how do I get rid of it?
Well,
It's on our
I don't
faces.
think
Doesn't
they
matter.
can see it, right?
You want to listen to us argue? Oh, it goes away.
Oh, well, look
See,
at
we're
that.
learning.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we're
Thanks
learning.
for your patience.
All right, we're going to tell you our story. We're doing 4 of these Facebook Lives in conjunction with the One of the Kind show that we are not able to attend.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I keep trying to. Sorry for my fingers. I can't stand this stuff coming in my way. So we are doing this for the One of a Kind show, which is in Chicago. I've done it, I don't know, for 6, 7 years. Gone to Chicago, and
I got to go last year.
Chris got to go with last year,
It was so much
and
fun.
we had so much fun, and we were really looking forward to it this year. But of course, with COVID, we couldn't go. So they're doing a virtual One of a Kind show, and we have scheduled 4 different lives. This one is on YouTube. The next one will be on Facebook and YouTube, and then Facebook.
Yes.
Right.
Yep, we alternated.
So this time we're going to tell you our story behind how we got our businesses started. And next time we're going to talk a little bit more about all of our products. You can find our products at bearcreekfelting.com or gnomeschoolhouse.com if you go to shop. And
And we would any purchases that you make, we so appreciate. Get out of there. Because I mean, we've been shut down, and if you're not in North Dakota, we are now like the hot spot. I mean, we've even made like Fox News and whatnot because it's really bad. Teresa and I kind of stay in our little, either we're at
We stay in our
here,
school.
yeah, or we're at home. It's pretty bad. So we can't open. We have a vendor show coming up that we're not even sure we're going to be able to. I mean, it's just not been good. Not been good here. So that's what we're relying on. We can't hold big events. I mean, it's been kind of a bad time of year to be putting together
Starting
an event center. Yeah, but it's okay. It's all good.
okay, so we'll start with our story, the whole background to how we started this whole thing. So back in 2000, I think it was 2005, my daughter asked for a lamb for her 8th birthday. And we homeschool, and we had been working on learning how to knit. And we had, right before that, did a little homeschool field trip to my aunt's house where she showed us all the things that she made with wool from her sheep. She did the hand spinning and spinning and weaving, and had so many fun things for the kids to see. And that's when Libby and I decided we'd kind of like to maybe try that. So that's why she asked for a lamb for her birthday. They showed 4-H, they showed beef cattle on our farm and at the 4-H fair. And so we thought that sheep would be a good addition. And so we thought a wool breed that we could use for spinning. And we researched that, and we found a Romney sheep for Libby. And so she got 2 lambs, and I got 2 lambs. And after that, the lady that sold us the sheep invited us to the Woolly Women, where we went and we learned all about what they did with wool. Most of the people in the Woolly Women group either raised sheep and they did everything with wool. So I was learning how to spin, and Libby learned how to needle felt that day. And when she went to bed that night, I picked up her needles and learned how to needle felt myself just by playing around. And I stayed up all night making a sheep. And then we kept getting together with the Woolly Women, and they would demonstrate at local events and shows. And they would, I would needle felt during these events, and I would bring my things that I had made, and people wanted to purchase them. And I decided, if they want to buy them, I should look into this. Because at the time, my husband, I was homeschooling the kids. I had always stayed at home with the kids. That was our priority. And my husband was working 3 jobs. And I always knew that I needed to figure out some way to make money to give him a break. So when people started buying my things that I was making, it was pretty exciting. So I started selling those on eBay, and then I started selling them on Etsy. I started an Etsy shop, and when people saw what I had made, they asked, how do you do that? So, and then I was also teaching local kids how to needle felt through 4-H, and I decided then that it would be fun to put together a kit. So I wrote the instructions on how to do the different animals that I was making. And then I put them together in a kit with the wool from my sheep and sold them on Etsy. And over the years, it just grew slowly. First, it grew to the stage where I was able to buy my family a dishwasher, which was pretty exciting at the time to be able to contribute. Other than homeschooling and taking care of the kids, I provided a dishwasher. And then after that, we took a trip to Yellowstone on my earnings. And after that, the income kept increasing each year. I kept making more kits and things, and selling the wool from our sheep separately. And it started bringing enough income in so that my husband could quit his other jobs and only had one job. And then my money started going towards paying the bills, and it just kept growing from there until 2017. People had asked for years on how to do the more intricate animals like the elephant and the zebra and the giraffe, and I decided that I needed to those were too difficult to put into kit form. So I decided to put together an academy online with videos. And so I now have an academy with about 300 members that there's a library of courses, video courses, and they can ask me questions, and they can learn how to make these animals that are a little more detailed than the ones that you can buy in the kits. And I sell on my website, bearcreekfelting.com, and on Etsy as well. So I also now sell supplies on how to make it easier to needle felt, the academy and the kits. And through all these years of making all these products, I had brought my wool from my sheep after they were sheared. I would take the raw, dirty wool, and I would drop it off at Dakota Fiber Mill, which was by Kindred and run by Chris. So she's going to share her story on how she started Dakota Fiber Mill.
Well, Dakota Fiber Mill started, I'll back up, probably because of an empty barn. I would say I was a barrel racer, and my barrel horse died, and I just had another horse. So I sold that horse, and I had an empty barn. And if any of you have sheep or horses, if you have an empty barn, it's very sad. So I decided that I didn't want horses again. I wanted something different, and I wanted something that I could, make some money with, sheep or goats, or I decided alpacas would be a good thing. And I told my husband, I'm going to get some alpacas and I'm going to hand spin all their fiber and I'm going to make gobs of money selling their yarn and so on and so forth. So he said, he agreed to letting me do that. And I started with 4 alpacas and hand spinning. I joined a guild that was, and that's where I met Teresa's aunt, which was kind of cool.
Which was
And
the place where we went and did the little field trip. homeschool
yes,
field trip.
yes. So that was kind of neat, and she's still a dear friend of mine, and love her dearly. And then after, as you know, if you do hand spin out there, it takes a while. It's so enjoyable and it's so therapeutic, but it does take some time. That I had friends and family that wanted to buy some of my alpaca yarn, so I started using an outside mill because I wanted what I hand spun, I wanted to use for my own knitting projects and so on and so forth. So I started using an outside mill and waited, 8 months or so to get my yarn back, which is set standard. I mean, because there's not enough small cottage mills in the nation. I mean, there's less than 200 right now, and my alpaca shearer in, I think it was 2009, said, Chris, after he was shearing my alpacas, I said, well, now I got to get, send some of this off to the mill. He said, well, Chris, you should open a mill yourself. And I said, that would be so awesome. I could stay at home. That would be awesome. I said, I will start praying about that and see what God has to say about that. And sure enough, you got to be careful what you pray for, because he threw open the doors. Within 6 months, I had a mill. I had the bank approved me for a low interest woman owning her own business, starting entrepreneur program they had, and because machinery is super expensive, I found a gentleman from England that made carders. He was living in Canada at the time, and he made the carder to my specifications that I wanted, because I wanted to be able to spin fine alpaca, fine angora, and all of the like. So he built me a wonderful carder and some other equipment, and then I paid him to gather up the rest of the equipment for my mill, and he came and I paid him to train me for three weeks. About he was on site setting up my mill and training me, and then he flew back to England, across the pond, and it was just me, and it was a terrifying 3-4 months of trying to figure out this machinery myself, because it's every batch that you spin, every batch that you card is different, even if it's from Teresa's, from her flock. Every one of her sheep and her herd is going to process just a little bit differently. If I'm going to spin it, I'm going to have to tweak the gears a little bit to get it to do what I wanted it to do. And it was such a huge learning curve, and got through all that, and that's when Teresa found out about me, that I was processing. She was sending her wool to, where were you sending it to? Michigan, wasn't it? Michigan. And and she had the shipping costs and the long wait times, and
as tightly as you could in these boxes, and it cost so much just to ship it there. So
yeah,
it was exciting to find this.
Yeah, so that was neat. So she was just one of hundreds of my customers. I mean, I have customers all over the nation, from Alaska to Florida, Maine to Washington, and within a year, for the first 6-8 months, I worked full-time as a CNA, a nurse's aide, and a med aide at a nursing home. Loved it. But within 6-8 months, I could quit and do just the milling full-time, which was amazing. And that was it. And off we went, and I milled for 10 years. And now I'm going to start talking about us. I had this this is kind of how this started, with an email of Shepherd Industries, the partnership between Bear Creek Felting, Dakota Fiber Mill.
Well, you should start with the cushions.
Oh, yes.
That's kind of how it started.
Where I realized how well we worked together. What was it, 3-4 years ago, NDSU, a local college here, I partnered with them. I worked with 4 senior engineering students, and they built me a felting machine, which was exciting. And it was a program that they had where I paid for all the materials, and these 4 students engineered it. It took them a year, and it was their senior project, and they got an A+ on it because they did an amazing job. And when I started felting, I'm like, what am I going to do? And Teresa approached me with, I've been wanting to do 100% wool felting cushion rather than these artificial cheap foam that make funny noises when you stick needles into them. But so we did a bunch of different prototypes, and we came up with, it took us a bit, and we came up with the perfect one. And we were able to make 3 sizes. And my dear mother sews them. And so we had to buy an industrial sewing machine, and we got it took about a year to get all set up doing that. And now we can't make enough of them. Folks just love them. And the one the prototype for sure, you still use it. And what's that, 2 years that you've been using the one?
Is it 2 or 3?
Oh yeah, it probably is.
3.
Time goes so fast. Yeah.
Yep. So that was our first experience working together. Working on a project.
Rather than just her being a milk customer.
Yeah. So, it was evident to us that if we worked together, we could probably build our businesses even bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you can go on with your what you started before.
Okay. And then I was like, we have after I was doing a lot of, during this time, during the first 6-7 years of my milling, is I collected fiber animals because I love animals, and it was a reason to collect animals. My dear husband was gracious enough to kind of look the other way as I brought home 2 yaks instead of 1 yak, and so on and so forth. And then the camel arrived, and well, anyway, during this time I did a lot of tours, a lot of education. I was all about education. I did homeschool tours. I just wanted to educate folks about where fiber comes from and where do you get mohair from, and people think that it hurts the sheep to harvest the fiber, to shear them, and it hurts them if you don't shear them, and I just wanted to educate folks that where these natural fibers come from, because they just don't know. And and to have these like city homeschool groups or city classrooms, classes from the schools in 1st, 2nd grade, they come out, and these little students would be sitting in my barn, and one of them, which I'll never forget, looked at one of my goats. They have ear tags, everything gets an ear tag, and he said, "Why are you selling all your animals?" He thought those were price tags on all the little ears, and I'll never forget that. And it just got me, wow, yeah, you wouldn't know. They would have no idea why there's ear tags on all these animals. So anywho, that kept me so busy, and I was so busy in the mill. I just finally just started selling my herd, and I kept 2 alpacas and two sheep, and I had this large pasture that was empty, and I thought, the mill was busting at its seams. I needed to expand, and it was I have to build. And so then I was thinking, there really isn't anywhere in the world where you can go and you can stay and you can eat and you can drink and you can learn and you can meet the animals and all this in one building, in one spot. And you can go to fiber festivals, you can go to hotels where they're having conferences, but there's usually one component of that missing, so to speak. So I thought, I wonder, because Teresa by now her herd was over 100, and she was getting super busy, and it was kind of to the point where I couldn't keep up with, with the demands of what she needed in milling, and keep up with my other customers. It was, I just thought, if we could partner, we could do something pretty cool here, and we could build a massive building, and with guest rooms, with an event center, the animals on site, classrooms. At the time, her daughter had just gotten back from Bible school and was working at a local restaurant, And she was, and at one point, Teresa was telling me how she wanted to be a caterer. She wanted to, she loved to cook. And she'd been cooking for them at their house for years and years. And I thought, could pull Libby in and she could be the chef. And my daughter, she had recently gotten married, and going through that whole process, she said, oh man, she just loved it, and she loved the whole process. And I knew that she would be excellent at planning events and coordinating such. I thought, oh my goodness, we could do this. We could go big. So I sat down and I emailed Teresa, and the rest is history. It was like,
Okay,
she
let
made
me
me start crying. No.
So I got this email with this proposal of building a building on Chris's farm by Kindred, and that Libby would live in there, and she would cook. Libby's also a very good knitter, and she would take care of the store, and she also mentioned weddings. That kind of threw me off a little bit, but at the time, it made me cry that she was thinking about the future of my daughter. So, that was pretty exciting. And so at that time, I thought, well, that would be wonderful for Libby if she could, go stay there, and that would be her future. It's all taken care of. Like, her dream was getting built around her, and I thought that would be amazing. And for Libby, I wasn't thinking of the whole, thing. So, meanwhile, Chris, I think, had found some wool and some Cormo sheep in Montana. And she asked if I, wanted, how did we come up with that? If I wanted some sheep.
Yeah, because you were looking for to bring, because the BFL wasn't working.
Yeah.
The other,
Yeah.
and you had liked the Cormo, because I was using the Cormo wool for the cushions.
Mm-hmm. And so we both decided we needed some Cormo sheep.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I wanted, yeah.
We took a little trip to Montana and to look at these sheep and to get some wool. And that was for the cushions. So that's, yeah. And on the way there, I don't know if it was 5 minutes in the car. I think it was before we got to the interstate.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
I think so.
That I proposed, instead of building this little thing on your farm in a tin building.
Ugly tin. Yeah.
Should we maybe, and I'll start to what I was thinking before, because I knew Chris was outgrowing her mill for years, and I'd always seen these gyms, these schools sitting empty, and I thought, well, a gym would be perfect for Chris. And so that was the first thing I proposed after we got in the vehicle, that maybe we could look at using an old school that's abandoned. At the time was thinking we could get this pretty cheap and fix it up. I was thinking mostly of the
couple
gym.
$100,000. Yeah.
And I think by the time we got to Montana, we talked nonstop all the way there with all our ideas, and we had found the person that had owned this one school, talked to them. We were school shopping on the way to Montana right after our idea, and
It was crazy how
was.
and we got a hold of these people.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
And the first one was way closer to Chris and far away
Yeah.
from me, but it was a cute little school, but it was already sold. And the funny thing is, Chris had went and looked at a school, what was it, the spring before? You and Kate went.
Yep. Yep, we did. We went to this very school.
So she had obviously had the same idea as me. So,
And we both love old buildings, and saving, it's, and there's so many schools everywhere, consolidations, and and they're just left to rot. It's so
Yeah.
sad.
So by the time we got to, where did we go? Somewhere in Montana. What was the town? Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
at the
Miles City,
hotel
I
that
think.
night, then we heard that the one school that we were, had been dreaming of for a couple hours was already sold, and we were
Yeah.
just crushed.
Yeah, yeah.
And, we just moved on to the next school.
Mm-hmm.
We just started thinking of all the schools in the area.
And it had to be kind of between us.
Yeah. So we thought we found the perfect one exactly right in between us.
Yep.
And we had thought of all these plans and
Mm-hmm.
how this was all going to work. And I think by the time we got home from Montana, we were like, yeah, we could do more than just put the mill in there. We could turn it into like a retreat center, and it could be a place for people to come and stay, and we could even have sheep and all the
Everything.
fiber animals. And that was like by the
Live
time we got
nativities.
home. And that would actually be a place where my basement was full of all the wool and everything I do to make the kits and the assembly of the kits, and it took over my whole basement, so much so that my kids were the couch kept moving closer and closer to the TV, and they had to make a little nest amongst the wool to watch TV. And so I was thinking, well, maybe I could move my stuff into there too, and it just kept growing and growing. And then when we got home, so we went to Montana
Yeah, it was like
the end of September.
yeah. And that following week, the four of us, Libby, Katie,
Yeah,
and us, we went school shopping.
we did.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the one right in between us,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted a lot of money for it.
Mm-hmm. But we were excited about it.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
And we're
We
trying to
liked it.
figure out how we could use it. All the windows had been broken out. They had taken some of the floor, had been spray painted everywhere in there,
All the woodwork was painted peach.
and they had
I don't know.
removed one end of the gym, and they wanted a lot of money for it. And then we discovered like one of the walls was kind of buckling out.
Yeah, that was yeah, couldn't
Yeah.
use it. Wasn't structurally sound. So
And
yeah.
I mean, it was the day that we were looking at that school that I said, well, there's a school. I don't even know if it's still there, but I drove by it for years and years. And I would, point it out to the kids how cute it is. Just look at that cute school in this little town. But I wasn't sure it was still there because there was trees growing up in front of it. And so I said, well, maybe we should go look at that, because we were kind of let down about the one school. And so it had started snowing,
Yeah.
but we decided to go anyway.
Yeah,
And then
it took some convincing because it's 20 miles from your house and about 42 from my house. So I knew, I was like, would I want to commute this? But I was okay with it. Yeah.
And so we came and we walked through this jungle, and there was the school, and we came in, and the woodwork was amazing. And I kind of remember Chris saying, "This is a little far gone." Do you remember saying that? It was like, maybe this is too far gone. And so when we got home that night, my kids were sitting on the couch all chanting, "Gnome, gnome." We want the gnome school. You should buy the gnome school. And I don't know, it was just a couple days. Chris had found who owned it. Through my son, I think he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we had talked to them and met
No,
them
I
here.
called them, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
When did I tell them oh, that was afterwards. After we looked. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So we met them here,
Mhm.
and we walked through it together. And the girls were with us, Katie and Libby.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we decided we wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was the end of September when we went to Montana, and it was October 9th when we bought the school. And
Yep.
we bought the school without telling our husbands.
Yes, yes. And then we thought, at the time, my husband, well, he still is, he was a home inspector and had his own repair and remodeling business. So he knew building, and I knew that he was not about old buildings, because I had wanted to, I had found, before we built the house that we are currently living in, I had found a house that was built in 1898, and I wanted it so bad. It was so cool. It was just a gorgeous big Victorian, but he had nothing. So he graciously let me build this house for me that looked like that house. Anywho, I knew I was a little scared bringing him here, but we had to get his opinion on his opinion, because we knew that he was going to be involved in a lot of the fixing and whatnot. So we planned a Saturday for Teresa and her husband Jeff and Steve and I to meet him here. And for some reason, we drove separately, me and my husband. And my husband was a bit late, and we were waiting there. And Teresa had never met my husband yet. And I don't think Jeff had either. I'm not sure. And so I was telling him, I was warning them, this old stuff is not my husband's gig, and just preparing you, I don't know what he's going to think of this. So we walked in through the gym, which was bad. It was bad. And then we walked into the school, which was worse, until we got to the main floor was better, but still really bad. And it wasn't until we were on the second floor and my husband wasn't saying anything. So I was thinking to myself, oh, he likes it. He likes it. And then he just turned around and said, you two should be committed. And that was all he said. And I'm like, oh no. And I looked at Teresa and I thought she was going to cry. And here it's such a terrible way to meet my husband. So I was trying to, but honey. And we walked through the rest of the school. And then he looked on the outside and he said,
Okay, I got to tell this part.
Okay.
This is funny.
Okay.
So when he told us we were crazy, Chris said, so if we were going to continue, if we were going to go through with this, where would we start? Which I thought was kind of funny.
Uh-oh.
And he said we should hire a structural engineer. And so we did that. And he came and he said it was structurally sound.
Yep.
And that's what started the whole
That was the green light.
procedure.
Off we went.
So that was in the fall of 2018. And we have, it's come a long ways. Right now we are in the gym. I wish we could share pictures of what it looked like, but it was bad.
Really bad.
The gym is done, and we've had our grand opening for the gym. The school is still in the works. We're building an addition on the back, and that is in
17,000
progress.
square feet.
Yes. And it is going to be a fiber arts retreat center. It's going to hold our store, our offices, Chris's mill, everything that we do, and we are going to educate the public about the fiber arts from sheep, which will be living in the barn that is right behind the school, and all the way from the sheep to the finished product. So they'll get to see the mill and see how everything is processed, and then they will actually get to participate in classes and play with the end product and make their own things. And part of that came from that idea. Also came from people telling me over the years, and this was a lot at the One of a Kind show, and that I was living their dream, and that would just be their dream if they could live on a farm and raise sheep and use their wool to make things and make money, and that, and so I mean, it's really exciting to think that we can share that with people, and that they can come here and experience it. They can stay here. We're going to have rooms for them to stay, and they can
Each with their own bathroom.
yes, and they can experience all of everything.
And it's not just sheep. We're going to educate. Yeah.
Yes.
Lots of animals. Lots of,
Yeah.
be like my little herd, only better.
Yeah. Because over the years I had people wanting to come to my farm, and I thought, well, all I have is my house to stay in. I don't really have any place for you to stay. I would love for you to experience, part of my life. And so now we can do that, and I can work one-on-one with them and teach them how to needle felt. We can work on big projects. So that is our exciting plan for this whole school that we are fixing up. So
Pretty cool. It's a destination.
it
We've got
is.
folks contacting us from I don't know, can they hear me when I not have this
I
in
would
front of
hope
my
they
face?
would
I don't
tell
know. Contacting us from all over the world, Kuwait and Italy, New Zealand, that want to come. They want to work one-on-one with Teresa. We're putting packages together. She will be offering weekend one-on-ones. I mean, you have her all to yourself for an entire weekend, and
Yes.
and to do work on projects and whatnot. And beyond that, we'll also be doing quilting retreats and making of anything. You know, it's a school, and everyone who comes here will leave learning something new, even if they're just coming to meet an alpaca or to learn where, because the animals are a big draw. I mean, I know at the mill at my old farm, when I had the sheep and the alpacas and the camel and the llamas and everything, it was a big draw to bring people in. And then that from there, they were like, I want to learn how to knit. I want to learn how to do this. I want to, because it's different. I mean, when you work with natural fiber, when you crochet with it or when you knit with it, it's different than
Then, yeah.
than an acrylic. And nothing,
synthetic,
yeah,
yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's awesome too. But when it's like it's alive on your needles when you work with 100% wool or 100% alpaca or a blend or what have you, it just, I don't know. It's until you do it. You ask anyone, it's hard to go back to, to a synthetic. And yeah, and even crank-ins. We've had so many people come. I'm like, a crank-in? Well, it's the antique sock machines. They want to come and do that. Scrapbooking retreats, and yeah, we've got lots of plans, lots and lots of plans. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and we're going to have a store and places for people to stay, the animals.
And the food.
And food. So
Oh,
my
my
daughter is going to
goodness.
make the food, and she's been practicing
Yes.
on us, and we're going to be gaining weight.
Yes. Not only
It
do
is
we
so
have
good.
COVID, we
Deal
also
with.
have a chef with these amazing recipes that, oh
Yeah.
my.
And she's going to cook, make your breakfast when you're staying here, and all your meals if you'd like.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
So-
you'll have no reason to go anywhere else. Everything will be right here for you, everything.
And we're in small town, North Dakota. It's a town of 63, I think is the population of Nome. It's a quiet little cute town in
We're
North
right
Dakota.
on the edge.
And cozy, and we're excited to have guests that share our passions and what we like to do. And we will have a little store in one of the classrooms, which houses all of our things that we make, and we make a variety of things. I don't know if you've been at the One of a Kind show in the past, you've seen some of the products that we make. Mine are needle felting kits and the supplies that you need to needle felt mostly. And then Chris has items that she's made from felt from her felting machine, yarn, all wool that
Yeah,
is
kitty
raised.
toys and
Yeah.
we're our next, I think it's a Facebook Live. We're going to be showcasing just
all the
all of them.
products.
Yeah,
So-
last year, alpaca insoles, they were
The
a
top seller.
huge hit.
They sold out the
Yes.
first day. So
Yes.
that was exciting. Yes.
Yeah, but we are fully stocked and ready for all the purchases for this holiday season. So,
So
it's pretty cool.
we're looking forward to the next live, which will be on Facebook on the 22nd. And then we're doing another YouTube live after that and another Facebook live. So this goes on through the entire One of a Kind show, which is going like 4 weekends, I think. It's virtual.
Virtually,
Yeah. So we're really sad that we can't be at the One of a Kind show. We had lots of fun in Chicago and meeting everybody.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
So-
So much fun.
Next year, hope to see you. If you
Yes.
can't come here, that would be
Yes.
nice too.
We would love to see you
So-
all here.
Yeah, we'll have places for you to stay. We'll pick you up at the airport. It'll be
Yep.
great.
Absolutely. We're going to get our little gnome school bus and get
And we're
transferred
gonna-
forward.
we're
We're only
not-
not even less than an hour from Fargo,
Yeah.
which is huge airport.
Not very
so,
far away.
Yeah.
But we're right now putting together packages, and if you want to work one-on-one with me learning how to needle felt, we'll be making the bigger projects like elephants and giraffes. And I mean, depending on the project, we will work like a week together, or over 4 days or whatever. So I'm really looking forward to putting them together when our school is all done, which is supposed to be in June. So
Yes,
we're
of
hoping
this year.
not this year.
Next year. That's true. I keep wanting
Yes.
2020 to be done and over. So 2021, June 2021.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about us, gnomeschoolhouse.com, bearcreekfelting.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube.
YouTube, EWE YouTube.
And we do a YouTube every week. And we go over the new products we've come up with and things that we're working on, like what Chris is working on in the mill, what I'm developing in the needle felting side, and also all the progress on our school. So
We share pictures, keep y'all posted on that.
all the progress and the setbacks. We share everything. The whole-
Unfortunately, yeah, we kind of lay it all out there.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
and we're here a lot, and now it's every week from here on. There's some major changes every week,
Yes.
which is cool. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much for watching, and we will be back on the 22nd on Facebook Live, and then there'll be
Yes.
another YouTube Live the next time. So
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
And how do they purchase? They go to
bearcreekfelting.com under shop, and there's all the choices. You can buy Gnome Schoolhouse merchandise, and you can buy Dakota Fiber Mill products and
some of
felting
our,
supplies.
not all of our yarns are on there, but quite a few yarns.
Yep.
And whatnot. Or Gnome Schoolhouse, I think will take you there too.
Yes, Gnome Schoolhouse under shop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thanks so much for watching.
Thank you. Bye bye.